Alrighty guys, welcome back to Taunton Tactics. We are looking at our last replay. Thankfully, DoorKickers 2 has got this feature working, where once you complete a run, you can click the replay button and it'll save that run for you. We've gone through and done these ones. Check those out. They'll be up on the channel by the time this one is, certainly. But our last one, Bridge Assault, my goodness, what a challenging little mission this was with multiple moving components. Lots and lots and lots going on here. I'm going to do my best to keep this nice and short. In total, the run takes, I believe, just over 4 minutes, with 48 hostiles killed. No hostage casualties, but we do lose 2 civilians. So I'm going to leave this clock up here. Keep an eye out for the time. At 25 seconds, we have our marksman Tommy accidentally hit a civilian in this room. What happens is basically the civilian lines up perfectly with someone barricaded behind these sandbags, and he just misses that shot. At a minute, let me just double check all these timings here, guys. I did write them down. At a minute 53 seconds, we get another casualty, civilian casualty, from our Grenadier. I believe it's Grenadier from Fire Team 2. So keep an eye on that. He is using this flaming car as cover when he starts to get overwhelmed. There is a civilian down in this alleyway, and directly behind that civilian, a suicide bomber runs up through this alleyway. He ends up missing his first shot hitting that civilian. He does eventually drop the suicide bomber about here, and another one flows up, so he then gets his second suicide bomber plus a third insurgent. So he starts to get overwhelmed. In hindsight, that's probably a tactical planning error. We should have moved our, you'll see it, we should have moved our marksman up sooner so he had a bit more support. Another time to keep in mind is 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So what happens at 3 minutes and 40 seconds is we are clearing this building. Because of the way this is divided internally, we are committing a 2-man element into this room here. And I believe that 2-man element is, I could be wrong, but I believe it's Delta and Hollywood. What occurs is, because this becomes an open threshold, and this is an open threshold, we go back to back. One soldier, being Delta, committing focus to this threshold, and another soldier, I'm not sure who it is, another soldier committing to this threshold, and they move back to back up this space. Unfortunately, Delta just pushed a little further ahead, and he gets shot as he's clearing up here. He lives, but he does sustain an injury. And that is our only injury for the run, which is why I'm pointing it out. Everyone else gets out of it unscathed, except for Delta, who just copped around in the side as he's coming up. So keep an eye out for that. I will leave the clock in place. So those times were 26 seconds, a minute 53, and 3 minutes 40. I will try and put those in the timestamp. Okay guys, without further ado, let's get into the actual planning. First things first, our main concern is getting this element into this building. So this is our clearing element made up of 4 assaulters. That element, for the most part, is fairly safe, particularly with Moose and Delta. Moose gets eyes down this alleyway into this sort of courtyard area for a little bit of security, while Delta performs a single man clear of this room. Our main concern is protecting Lupin and Hollywood. So we've got that smoke grenade out there because we do have a machine gun nest with eyes into that area. They quickly clear this room externally. Once that is clear, they jump this barricade, do a quick check into this space, check no one's standing on any of those items, that junk in the corner there. In-game, that's not a possibility. Real world, I would check it, so I've just included that in. Then they make entry, and they go internal and start clearing through this space here. Once they're in cover for the rest of it, so I'm not too worried about them. We'll keep an eye on that. So we'll move through that space. While they begin that, we get our marksmen up. So we have 4 marksmen and 2 grenadiers along for the ride. It's a priority for us to get those marksmen in kind of a wall with interlocking arcs of fire. We have the kid coming up here and aiming into into this space. I wish I could show you what his arc looks like, but he keeps visuals this way, so you can see he's locked on that machine gun nest because that is a major priority. At the moment we only see one insurgent machine gunner, but obviously this is dead space up here, so there could be more flowing through. We then have Tommy. He gets eyes on majority of the bridge and partial views on both these buildings to the north and south. Moving up with him, we have Taunton. He also gets eyes on the bridge, and majority of his angles are on this north building. We then also get Warman as well. Again, he's down low. Let me close this for a second. He's down low with eyes across the water. Again, focusing on as much of the bridge as he can. He's kind of a wasted element at this point. We recognize that quite quickly and correct. We are concerned about a number of fortified positions. So we have sandbags all over the place, including here, which is usually typical for a machine gun nest. Here, again, typical for a machine gun nest. More sandbags here, some sort of barricade up here, another barricade here, another barricade here. What is most concerning is that these holes in the walls are sandbagged. So again, this could be a fortified position, and these internal windows look fortified. So this is a bit of a mess. These guys are ready for us. No if, buts, or maybes about that. They're ready. So smoke goes out, grenades go out. These guys move to create interlocking arcs of fire and a bit of a wall of fire across the water, while our element starts to move through. I'm going to leave this in full screen while we let that play out. And I'll explain little bits as we go along. Let me pull that clock up for you so you can keep an eye on particularly what happens here when Tommy engages that target and accidentally hits a civilian. Alrighty, let's go. So smoke goes out, shots start being placed. We let that smoke plume. We give the clearing team the go command to get in quickly while that smoke is going. And then we get our marksmen and grenadiers moving. So we get our first grenade going out, just in time to stop a rocket, and our second grenade just in time to stop a rocket. We're aware of rocketeers further to the east. We drop those with our marksmen, but that it is a priority to get a grenade in there. These guys have gone through and cleared with no effect. So you'll see the next thing to work up. When they get to here, I'll pause and explain that. Alright, just before that goes any further. Okay, we are maintaining those arcs. We're getting our grenadiers up because they are too far away for an effective grenade throw. We're having issues in game with the mechanics of the GLAs or grenade launchers, where their arcs just aren't as accurate as I would like. So largely we actually don't end up using them. Once they're here though, they are close enough to get grenades into these barricades. We can see that they're clear. At the time of planning this, I wasn't sure. So I just wanted to get a grenade in there and make sure that that was clear. I'm going to zoom in and explain this, and then we'll zoom back out and you can watch it happen. Okay, on the alpha command, our breacher will open the door. 3-man team will flow in. First man is going to come in and clear this major space. Second man is going to come in and clear this cupboard. Third man will support the first man clearing this major space. And our breacher, who becomes the fourth man, will do over the shoulder cover into this cupboard, supporting our second man. Once they flow out, once they confirm that this is all clear, they're going to flow out and meet up down here. We're going to have a Lupin kicking that door open as soon as our other 3 men are establishing a wall of fire here. So we'll have 3 guns pointing into this space the moment that door swings open. Once that door swings open, Lupin is going to set the wall charge. I'll talk about that in a second. Once these 3 guys are confident that this space is clear, they will move back. We're going to have, who is it? Moose, kick this door open. It's been cleared externally, so we're not clearing it. The reason we're opening that door is to make space for the stack that is about to form. On the Delta command, all 4 of our operators, which are in a stack, will then flow into these 3 rooms here. Because of the explosion of the wall charge, I'm fairly confident that these 2 small rooms are clear, this bathroom and sort of cupboard space. So our first man's going to flow straight past those, check this corner, and then clear the rest of the room, establish his position of domination. Our second man flowing through, checking his corner, and then establishing a position of domination in that L shape that we always like to form. Then we start to clear these, relying on the shock of the explosion to buy time for this to occur. Our third man is just simply aiming into this space and checking that that is all clear. And our fourth man is checking that bathroom. Alrighty, I'm going to let that develop while we keep an eye out. Hopefully you guys caught that happening over here. It was a simple mistake that, that led to that, unfortunately. Okay, moving on. Let's see what happens. So these guys are now going. Grenadiers are engaging while that occurs, and they're flowing through quite nicely. We're establishing that 3-man gun into the door. Keep that door open. Those two guys just had a bad day. The ratio was in our favor. Quickly pause that because there is a lot going on. And we've just had those 2 grenades go off. Yeah. So I'm very confident that those machine gun nests or rocketeer nests or whatever they were are pretty clear. We're going to leave these guys relatively in place with the exception of moving Taunton up. So our 2 grenadiers are going to take a position here, very close together, ready to use their grenade launchers now that they're a little bit closer and there's less clutter in the way. We don't end up using it, but they're there as an option. We are moving Taunton up to give him a better angle on the rest of this. Alrighty, let's go back to what's happening up here. So that charge is about to go. Doing that dynamic entry, checking those corners, establishing those positions of domination, and they're done. So they're going to form up at the back of the tank. Giving those interlocking arcs and some security for these guys. What's about to occur once we move Warman up. What's about to occur is as these guys move up, which you can see here, our 4-man clearing team is going to move with our 2 grenadiers to form a 6-man element. It gets a little bit cluttered. Just as far as the game's concerned, it's very hard to avoid that. So this 6-man element is going to move up. We're getting a grenade off into this dead space just because that's our most likely area of threat, especially considering as we are putting a wall of smoke up again using our marksman smoke grenades to obscure our movement. So our main focus is on this building to the north. So grenade off, 6-man element. Our grenadiers are keeping eyes to the south and establishing themselves on this vehicle here, while our 4-man clearing team split again, 2 going north and 2 going east. Our northern element is going to flow through this section here, which is sectioned off from the rest of the building, while our 2-man team to the east clears this bit. The majority of this is actually cleared externally before we get there, but we're doing this just to be sure. And we'll talk through what happens next. So, smoke and frags go out. We let those plume. We now have that wall of smoke. That frag grenade has gone off, cleared that dead space, or at least bought us a bit of time. We're then moving that 6-man element through. Like I said, it gets a little bit cluttered. We've got guys walking in front of each other. It does get a little bit messy. I'm not a massive fan of that. What's about to occur here is our second civilian casualty. So it is this civilian here. Like I said, suicide bomber, second suicide bomber plus an insurgent. So that's about to occur. I will close this menu while you observe that. There it is. That first shot takes out that civilian, unfortunately. So he is well and truly overwhelmed at this point, trying to prioritize the suicide bombers. Trying to prioritize suicide bombers while dealing with automatic fire from an AK as well. Because of that, we get another smoke in there to help him. The smoke doesn't land exactly where I'd like it to. I would have preferred full obstruction of view. As it turns out, there is still a slither there. While that is occurring, we're taking that opportunity to move our 4 marksmen off as another element. You can see here they're maintaining eyes at each point as they move along and establish themselves into their final firing positions. 1, 2, 3, and 4, there he is. While they establish themselves into their firing positions. Again, it gets a little bit messy. You'll notice here there are points when it'll look like they're aiming at their own guys. Real world, you would adopt a high or low ready position to avoid that. In game, it's a little bit harder to do and not exactly necessary. While that's occurring, we're getting our 2-man element moving up and another 2-man element clearing through this space. Okay, clearing this bathroom quickly, that's all clear. Moving on up. Now, ideally I would have liked my marksmen to be a lot further along. In fact, I would have preferred them to be established by the time our clearing team gets here. Seeing as they're not, I didn't want to risk exposing them to this alleyway. So we're keeping them still. I've got Hollywood with eyes on that open threshold, and our other three guns pointing into this alleyway should anyone decide to run up. We're going to leave them there until our marksmen get established and get into position with their interlocking arcs of fire now pointing at the building to the south. We're going to let them move up. Like I said, you can see here, we're getting points where we're flagging our friends. Not a fan of that in game. They won't engage. So we're kind of protected by a game mechanic there. Real world, obviously, you would never do that. Okay, what's occurring here while these guys move up? We have established interlocking arcs, so this is a great opportunity to hit reloads. So in alternating positions according to their interlocking arcs, they're hitting those reloads. So Taunton's workload is being shared by Tommy here with eyes down into that alleyway, so he can hit a reload comfortably. Tommy is also sharing a workload with Warman, who can hit a reload. The kid is sharing that workload. Grenadier is also sharing that workload, so we've got our other Grenadier hitting a reload. You'll notice very shortly that will alternate. Once these guys are reloaded and reset, we're going to alternate that and let these guys reload as well, while this clearing takes place. So we get a flash out, 4-man dynamic entry, move up. You'll notice quite quickly we split into, there's those reloads there, we split quite quickly again into two-man clearing teams to deal with these rooms. Again, using that technique where we have our breacher off to the side, exposed to the least amount of the room as possible, and having his security exposed to the most amount of room possible. And again, we're doing that here. Breacher's off to the side, security has eyes into the room. And that's why. So he can hit those shots. We're going to make sure that corner is clear, and then regroup. We have our marksmen still doing work down here and engaging quite deep. Letting our 4-man element move through. Once they sort of take point and our marksman is confident that they are, he then transitions into the other space so that he's no longer needed there. There's 4 guns in that space, he's not needed. Alrighty. Again, we're about to split into a two-man clearing team. I can zoom in a little bit now. Where are we? Okay. What's about to occur, you'll notice because of the time, we're about to get our first injury. It will be Delta. Like I said, they attempt to do back-to-back, and Delta just gets a little bit too far ahead and exposes himself to this threshold too soon. So let's watch that as that there it is. So as that unfolded, you could see he exposed himself a little bit too soon and unfortunately took a round for it. We're getting these guys to move back out of the building and re-enter over here just because I didn't feel confident with having done 2 engagements here. I didn't feel confident with them jumping through that internal window because they are combat ineffective while doing so. So we're getting these guys to come up and take security there. Okay, we've seen an enemy here. We didn't get a shot off. I try to get another angle with Delta. I end up moving Hollywood up and looping up anyway to try and get better arcs. See if we can just clear this little bit of dead space and also get eyes on here, on that threshold. And we do end up getting the shot off with Hollywood instead. Moving up, keeping eyes, breaching. That's clear. Alrighty. What we establish here with Moose is eyes through both of these thresholds on the doorway, which means that this area, this lane, is secure, which gives these guys an opportunity to cross this threshold with security, which I wasn't confident to do up here without. So we let them do that while maintaining eyes on this doorway. Should it swing open, we'll be able to engage. Alrighty, they've now taken over that job. They're on security. We're going to check that bathroom is clear and commit a third man into this fire team. In hindsight, I should have kept him on that side and re-entered up here. I decided to leave Delta out, keep that as a 3-man, and instead of letting him jump back over, all we've done is bring a Grenadier down, seeing as their job is a lot simpler now. All they are focusing on is that doorway, and that is only just until we get our guys up there. And the other thing is we have, the other priority, is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, basically just making sure no one runs out of that bathroom. Okay, so that's well and truly covered. So we're going to provide a little bit of security and maneuver these guys over there. We have a timing fumble on my behalf. So this breach and this breach should have opened simultaneously. It didn't end up happening, so it ends up moving at the wrong time. However, fortunately and unfortunately, let's just go back and have a quick little look at that. These guys made entry first and got their shots off. This is barricaded. The reason that's barricaded is to get fire here. It's a good. This is why I wanted to attack it both sides. It worked out fine. Wouldn't have been an issue either way. We had eyes on. No matter which direction he was focused on, we would have been able to get shots off very effectively. Alrighty guys, that's that. What a complicated mission. Like I said, no units lost, 48 hostiles pacified, no hostages lost. We did lose those 2 civilians, which we saw in here, and we did have the 1 injury with Delta. Other than that, everybody else got out unscathed, no injuries to report. Alrighty guys, that's it. We're now up to date with the new missions on DoorKickers 2 Task Force North. Like, comment, and subscribe because there is some interesting stuff going forward. We won't just be doing DoorKickers anymore. I've managed to get my hands on a few upgrades to my computer, and we are going to be in it with some other tactical shooters, applying our source video information to some of those as well. Alrighty guys, I will catch you all on the next one. Have a good one.